Oh, okay. Got some sound effects coming from the earrings. Actually, I don't know if you can hear that on camera or if it's just because they're on my ears and I can hear them. Y'all, welcome in. Welcome in. I missed last week and let me just see how it looks. I missed last week. And so I'm going to get us back on track with the series. But I felt like last week was an unexpected break that I felt like I might have needed, like, high key, because I my birthday was ooh my birthday was on that Friday. And like, my birthday is always one of those things that just doesn't ah, I just don't be doing good with my birthday. I don't be super excited about it, or I don't really be in the mood to celebrate it, and I be excited, not excited, but I feel relief when it's passed because of how much there can be going on, like, mentally. And it makes me kind of sad. And I think part of it is like I'll be reflecting on my life and where I'm at, which is not always like the most, I'm not gonna say exciting. It's not necessarily exciting, but that's not the word that I was thinking of. It's not the most, like, you don't always feel as great after reflecting. Like, reflecting isn't always one of those things that makes you feel good afterwards. It just gives you space to be it just gives you space to be honest with yourself and to see, where you are, and what has transpired over a period of time. And it gives you an opportunity to just, like, check in, you know but outside of that, mm-mm. So it was on Friday. Ended up being Friday the 13th. I'm looking at this little thing that came off my mic. And so, yeah, hmm, I think I just needed that time to I just needed that time. So, a lot going on, like, mentally, emotionally. And when I thought about it this morning, I I was like, you know what? I guess we could just take that as a break. Take that for what it is, and what you got from it, and whatever happens after that is what happens. But yeah, I felt like it just was a lot. It was a lot. And I was proud of how far I got with the series already, because I started that series back in December. And if you're not aware of what series I'm talking about, it is the Creative Thinking Style series. And I started it, I completed it not last week, but the week before, which I was super proud about. And there was a part of me that was feeling like the series wasn't over. And it isn't over. I'm going to start talking about perfectionism and how that shows up with each creative thinking style. But I needed to take today's stream to talk about this conversation that I had yesterday. Uh, it was it was inspired by a Threads post that somebody put out. And when I was reading it, not listening to it, but when I was reading it, listening to it in my head, and I was thinking about what it is that she was saying, I was like, oh, I know exactly what her problem is. And it's a very simple one. So let me set the background and give you some background context to what was going on. So the post that I'm referring to was about someone who has a high emotional intelligence. She phrased it as having high IQ and being someone who has a deep understanding of people and their emotions. And especially, I'm assuming this comes into play with the work that she does. When I looked at her title, it had human design in it, and she's a coach. So what I saw was relationship coaching. So I was able to kind of gather what kind of person this was. And I just want to give the disclaimer that these are some of my favorite people. Okay. The people that are the really deep thinkers, the ones that feel deeply, the ones that have this deep passion for what they do and who they help. You can it's something about them that just like I love it. I get it. I understand it. And so when she was speaking, I could really relate to what it is that she was saying. So she talked about the high IQ and the deep like the deep emotional understanding of her people, but also not being good at selling. And she was basically asking for people's feedback on that, and if they've ever come across that before. Why might somebody be struggling to sell, or why are those skills not like talking to each other? And so there were a lot of great comments under that post. And when I was looking through them, I felt like there was one that was missing. Hey, Adrian, welcome in. I felt like there was one that was missing. And so I shared it. And so here is the gist of what I told her. So I said that as someone with a high emotional intelligence understanding, people who are into things like human design and psychology, understanding how people function, how they operate, what motivates them, those are all skills that play into selling extremely well. There are some people who have a background in psychology or sociology who are also incredible at selling and at marketing because they already understand the psychology part, right? And so there's the ability to understand the emotions that people are experiencing, why they make the decisions that they do. Those put you in a very unique position to naturally be good at selling. And my theory is that she probably already is good at selling. And I told her that. I was like, you're already good at selling, but you're probably not inviting people to work with you. And I said that this is something that I see a lot with people who are like us. Cause again, I saw where she was coming from. I couldn't relate to where she was coming from. And being this person who is magnetic, somebody who truly understands people, who has a knack for creating content and things that engage people and that people feel seen by and like deeply seen by, almost to the point where it's creepy. And also having challenges communicating that and actually translating what that means as an offer, as a product, as a service. So when I said that, I was like, it's possible that you're not inviting people to work with you. And I don't remember if I asked her, I'm not sure how I asked the question exactly, but I said something on the lines of, does that resonate with you? Does that sound like you? Let me know. So she responded, and she was telling me that it was 100%. She's like, in fact, I don't invite people. I don't give any invitations. And when she said that, I was like, that's a very interesting approach. I would love to know more about why you made that decision, why you made that choice. Like, why don't you invite people to work with you? And she was open to us having the conversation and listening to her story, a little bit about her story and why she does things that she does now. Some she had experience with burnout and being burnt out as a business owner, and now building her business or rebuilding it. However, I'm being cautious with that term because rebuilding it, I feel like implies that you're building it the same way, but rebuilding it with different systems in place and with different processes and different boundaries and a new approach to marketing and what does that look like. And so she is taking this approach where she is paying attention to how the things feel that she's doing and where it's landing with her, long story short, right? And so we were talking and I was asking her a lot of questions, just really digging deep because I was like, "Ooh, like I want to understand this one because this feels like you feel like my people." I was like, I can help you and I want to understand what it is that you're experiencing so that I can help you." Y'all can see, can you see her in the background? Chanel, who gave you that bottle? Who gave Chanel? Chanel. It might be louder for me than it is for y'all. But anyway, you see, she decided to lay down right there. I think that she does it when I'm on camera for real. So yeah, so we had this incredible conversation talking about what like where this is coming from. Why do you yeah, Chanel, yeah, she's in her zone. She's giving that water bottle the business. And so asking her all these questions and getting a really good understanding of what it is that is stopping her from making the invitation and understanding what her current approach is to marketing and understanding that. So it was a really good conversation. I am going to hold back on sharing too much of the details. I'm a stranger to her, so she may not have any qualms with sharing what she shared with me publicly, but because it was, in the DMs, I am going to be particular about how deep into her business I get. But my goal with this is for this to be like a case study where you're able to see how this looks and if this is something that you have been experiencing too when it comes to your marketing, when it comes to your platforms and the content that you're creating and how you are, what your progress is looking like. What is it? Is it working? Do you feel like I'm good at getting people's attention and creating content that resonates with people? And it also feels like I'm not selling anything. It also feels like I'm not actually converting these people and I don't know where the disconnect is. And so there's a lot to be said about sales skills, learning different things when it comes to funnels or how to sell in emails, sales calls, different sales strategies. Those are things that I will not personally get into because that's not my area of expertise. Where I want to touch on is those the that like the heart of what you do and how you show up and how you extend that invitation as you are building a rhythm that makes sense for you, as you are discovering what styles of content make the most sense, what formats, and what perspective, who you're talking to. So, before you get to the actual sales strategy, this is what we're talking about today. So, I want to make that distinction clear so that y'all know like this is not sales training. All right. But this will help get the ball rolling. And it'll be especially helpful if you have the same experiences that she has. So let's get into this case study. Y'all, before I do that though, I have to highlight that I have a new microphone set up. Look, she swivels. My table would go back and forward. I got a whole new desk. It rolls, so this is slowly turning into an issue. We'll see how long I keep this one, but it does what I needed to do for now, so it'll stay. And I also got a new boom mic arm that goes to the desk, like a tabletop one, so that I can get rid of some of the bulk that I had in my little studio area. And so now it feels like it's a little bit more condensed and it's like easier to maneuver. And I am so excited. I've been at my desk all day on purpose and I have enjoyed it thoroughly. I love it so much. So I'm liking this. I was concerned that because my microphone is a pretty heavy one, I wanted to make sure that I had something that could support it, which was why I went with the bigger one, like the official, heavy duty. This the kind of microphone that you see in the pulpit at church and on the stages at concerts. I had that kind of microphone stand. So I got this one now and it seems like it's holding up good. So we're in a solid place. We are in a good place. I love it. I love my whole little setup here. And I'm liking this little spring refresh that I had. So I wanted to make sure I shouted that out because it wasn't bothering me. It like wasn't bothering me consciously, but it was kind of getting to me a little bit. I was like, I feel like I need to streamline some of this. I need to make my life a little less difficult. So yeah, I got my new gadgets, my new desk, and my new microphone stand. So I'm feeling really excited about that and happy about it. And it made me really want to come on live now so I can show it off and use my new space. So yeah, that's my win, y'all. Well, I wanted to celebrate that before we get into the case study. But let's do it. Let's get into it. All right. So I had a conversation recently with someone who has a very high IQ. She is somebody who understands her people deeply. She understands their emotions, their reasoning, who they are, what they're dealing with, while simultaneously feeling like she is lacking when it comes to selling. And she made a post about it on Threads. And I saw it as a great opportunity to give her something that was a very simple solution to her problem because it's one that I see happen a lot with people who are deep thinkers, people who do deep transformational work. Think lifestyle coaches, relationship coaches, people who do branding where it's like deep, it's transformative, it takes time. And those are all things that are incredibly important and also presents a challenge for those people because of how your brain works and how deep this work is. It almost feels like, how do I talk about what I do and then also sell it at the same time? And so I was reading her post and I was reading the responses that people gave her, and I was realizing that nobody was saying the one thing that I felt was the first step, and that's invitations. Are you inviting people to work with you? And this is something that is very interesting because it is near to me, very relatable. I can understand how easy it is to create content that resonates with people, that engages people, that people feel seen with, and it feels like it's like a deep understanding of who they are. And then it also is crickets when it comes to the conversion. I understand that so deeply because you feel like you're creating the content, so it's got to be selling. And that's not always the case. Often it's not. And what I realized for myself is that the thing that was missing that I wasn't doing often enough, indirectly enough, was inviting people to work with me, right? Making the offer, telling them what it is, letting them know where to go to get it. Some very simple things that in this grand scheme of a live stream probably takes you 1 to 2 minutes to say, but for us, it's very easy for us to forget that part. And so she's the kind of person that is wanting to create a magnetic presence, right? She's somebody who wants to attract the right people. She doesn't want to be the person that's chasing them, that's trying to hunt them down, who ends up attracting people or working with people that are people pleasers, that are codependent, that are not prepared to do the work, right? I mentioned before, she is a coach, relationship coach, and the work is deep. I understand that very, 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 very well. And not everybody that encounters you is going to be the best fit. And when you can't figure out how to change that up, how to attract the right people, it makes it difficult for you to do things like make the invitation, share what you have, tell people where to go, because you're also subconsciously bracing for the possibility that it's going to attract more of the wrong people. And so I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about how you can know if you are somebody that's like her, who is great at attracting people, but feeling like you're lacking when it comes to selling. Okay. So I'm going to break this all down for you and we're going to get into it. I wish I had some water because I just got thirsty all of a sudden. Let's see how well I do without it though. So, just a little background on her. So after that, after the post that she created, I was like, I would love to talk to you more about this, because when she says she doesn't give invitations, I don't know if I said that part, but she meant, she responded to my comment and she said, "That's 100% right. I actually don't ever invite people in my content anymore." And I was like, "Oh, that's very interesting. So tell me about that. Like where does that come from? If you're open to discussing it." And she was. So we took the conversation to the DMs and she revealed some things to me that I thought were really interesting. So the first thing that she told me was why she stopped inviting people in the first place, right? And she told me that one of the things that she kept encountering was people who were there as people pleasers, and basically people who are there because they feel like they are supposed to be there, or there's like the proximity thing. Sometimes people come to you because they just really want community and they want to be around someone, and they buy your things to remain in community and to have that proximity even if that's not what you're selling. And so those things are what caused her to be like, okay, let me take a step back. Let me stop inviting people, because this is clearly not attracting the right people. And not only is not attracting the right people, the ones that I am working with that aren't a right fit, I'm feeling drained by this. I am feeling burnt out now, which it did for her lead to burnout. And she had to take a step back and is now in a place where she's stepping back into marketing her business, doing the work, and finding how to do this in a way where she's able to be fully embodied. Like I want to say embodied, but I feel like I'm not using it in the right context. But she wants to really feel embodied in how she's showing up, and she wants it to feel aligned. I think that might be the best way to describe it. She wants it to feel aligned. And so when she was talking about it, she mentioned how it felt like she was chasing people, right? Chasing people down, and she was doing so much work just to get people into the door, or to get people to work with her who really weren't even ready to do that kind of work. And so there was a disconnect that was going on. And so she associated that disconnect with inviting people to work with her. Okay. And so I really want y'all to keep that in mind, because I'm going to go into that a little bit more as I break this down. So let's talk a little bit about magnetism. Okay. Being magnetic, attracting the right people. That is something that is really in alignment with how I operate and how I move. I'm not a real big like hunt for opportunity kind of person, or I'm chasing down opportunities, or even some of the best moments that I've had and opportunities that I've got to experience came from attracting those opportunities. I was never really like looking for it or pitching myself for it. And it is something that even when it comes to the kind of presence that I have, the magnetism is there. Okay. Like I know, like I have this thing where I draw in certain kinds of people, lots of kinds of people, but I have that attraction kind of thing going on. And so what she described to me was how she wants her content to be magnetic. And I loved that she used that word, because good content absolutely does that. And what was also interesting to me is that I'm willing to bet she already has magnetic content and a magnetic presence. And the disconnect really is the invitation piece. Okay. But I won't go too far ahead of myself. We're gonna stay with the magnetism. So what is really powerful about magnetism is that it really brings the people to you. Like it helps people to it helps to get people's attention. It helps for people to not only stay but to really resonate with what it is that you're saying, because that's also a really big part of magnetism, is not just being attractive or having the best equipment or camera setup, but it is about saying something that resonates with people that they really care about, and they want to continue to listen to you talking about it. Okay. That would be the most succinct way that I can describe it. And that would be true no matter what you look like physically, right? Well, I'll leave that there. So, the thing that magnetism doesn't do well, though, is it doesn't tell people what to do next. It's really great at drawing people in, but it's not enough to convert people. It's not enough for people to then know what to do. So what ends up happening is that it creates this gap in the pathway. And I always use this comparison of, or this illustration of, a bridge. And if we're going to be talking about magnetism on one end and your offer on the other end, the invitation is the bridge, it's the connection. So this you're talking about this thing, this challenge that people have, or this desire that people have, and you have the solution in your offer, but you're talking about this thing, and then the offer is over here, the solution's over here. But if you're not telling people that is there, you're missing out on that part where you get to build that pathway and that bridge. And the thing that can be tricky about it is that you cannot be making the invitation directly, and you'll still have people who will just find it anyway, right? You have people that'll listen to what you say, and they'll resonate with it so much, they'll like it so much that they'll go and figure out how to buy from you, right? They'll figure out how to purchase, they'll figure it out. But that is a very particular group of people that are very aware of what it is they need. They're very self-led, and that is not the common group of people. That's not the norm. And so what your invitation can help people to do is to bridge that gap more often, make that connection more often. And so people, when you're somebody who has that magnetic presence already, and you're already attracting people, but it's not getting you sales, it's not getting you results, it's not converting people, you can get into that place where you start to feel like you're not making enough content, or you're not consistent enough, or your content's not good. And all three of those things can be false. It can be none of those things. It can simply be that you have all three of those things together, and you're still missing the piece where you're inviting people. But that's where our brains tend to go to when we perceive the challenge that we have. And so the actual problem is that you're not introducing an entry point. You're not allowing people to see where the door is so they can walk through it. And so when you think about how often you have created something, how many times you've talked about a particular topic, I want you to start to think about how often you tied that to something that people can buy. How often you have plugged your offer, mentioned your offer, told people what you're working on and when it'll be available. There's so many different ways that you can extend that invitation. And I might get into some of those ways. We'll see. We'll see. I'll see how much I get into how to do that. But I do want to spend a lot of time breaking this down so that you can start to reframe it for yourself as well, especially if you resonate with this, so that you can see like I can be a magnetic person and I can be bringing people in and doing all the right things. And the only thing that's missing is that I am not adding the invitation. Okay. And there is a particular reason why people are not extending the invitations. And that's what I want to get into next because this is the problem that she was experiencing. And this was why she decided to stop giving the invitation. Okay. So now we're going to get into invitation versus chasing. And if you are someone who has experienced having clients and working with people who cross boundaries, who slip into codependency, who are overall just not a great fit for what you're doing, you are probably really going to be resonating with this piece. And this is what I want you to start to pay attention to for yourself and seeing if you see this when you talk about your work and when you speak about what you do. Because it's tricky. This is the part where people end up hiding in plain sight. Okay. So let's get into it. So she was pairing inviting with chasing, and she was conflating the two together. And so this is the connection that her brain was making. So invitation means chasing. I don't want to invite the wrong people, so I'm not going to extend the invitation at all. And so I want to talk about what chasing actually is because an invitation is a neutral thing, right? And it should be a neutral thing. But what makes it more emotional is the meaning that we tie to it. Okay. So here's what chasing really is. So chasing is convincing people, following up, and I don't mean that in the sense of follow-ups are bad, but there's a certain kind of energy that this type of follow-up has. Holding indecision, and when I say that, I'm referring to the people who are not sure whether they want to work with you, and you're like, okay, well, I'm here. Let me know what I can do, and you're trying to really like overcompensate for their indecision. Okay. Or even lowering the bar. And that can be when it comes to your prices, when it comes to, especially when it comes to the work that you do and the parameters that you set in place and going beyond those in order to accommodate people. Right. Again, there's nothing wrong with being the person who over delivers. There is something wrong when you're constantly trying to adjust and shift and move to make space for what they want. And you're not taking into account why you set this up this way in the first place, why you have these boundaries in place in the first place. And you're bypassing what you know is best for you in order to appease the client. And so, what it ends up being, in summary, is people pleasing, right? Is people pleasing. And so that's not inviting people. That is chasing people with an invitation. This is, I just somebody just like running at you with an invitation, and you're already like, I don't know. I can't, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I gotta check my calendar still. And they're like, no, but here, look, look, look. Can you go? Do you wanna? I can do this. I can pick you up. Like somebody just like trying to like shove it down your throat. And that's like I feel like it's like the perception that people have of sales in general, of selling things that we get like that pushy, ignore what you said, shove it down your throat. They sense the weakness and then they attack the weakness, like like that kind of thing, that perception that people have. And so that's how it can come across. And that's what it is essentially. Even though it looks different, it doesn't look pushy, you know, it doesn't look like the typical like salesman type of energy, but it is still doing the same thing. It's still giving you the same effect. And so with an invitation is simply direction. It is simply telling people where to go next. What does it mean? What does it mean? Where do I go? Like, you just told me some things that just like shifted. You have rocked my world. What do I do now? That's what the invitation is there to do. And so chasing is the behavior that you add to the invitation, but it is not the invitation. You literally do not have to chase people to invite them into something. And so when you've only experienced inviting people and chasing as a combo, then it all feels like the same thing to you. And so that's what was happening with her, is like she's conflating those two things and making it where her desire is to attract more, right? But when I think about that and the invitation piece being taken out, it almost feels like a it almost feels like a cop out. And I want to say this as respectfully as possible, but it feels like a cop out because now you're bringing people in, sure, but now you're not asserting any authority. You're not exercising your all of the things that you have available to you to make it clear to people what it is that you're doing and how they can work with you. Like it's missing a piece of marketing. It's almost like you're giving away all of the power, and that's not what we want to do. And so when you cut that out, you're now cutting off that bridge, that pathway that leads from the the desires or the problem to the solution. Okay, so when you separate them and put each of them in their proper place, invitation here, chasing here, you now get to approach inviting people from a new perspective, and you get to see, oh, this is how I can invite people in, and I can be inviting the right people, right? I can now see how I was speaking was attracting this kind of person. Let me shift this. And I want to pause here for just a second because this is another thing that I see often with people who do this kind of work. People whose work is related to healing, related to transformation in terms of internally and even externally. But when there is an inner work involved, we can get to a place where we're speaking very vaguely, and we're speaking in a way where it feels clear to us because we can imagine the scenarios. We can imagine the person, but when it comes out of our mouth, it sounds like we're talking to this wide group of people, and we're not. And sometimes it ends up becoming our language ends up becoming enabling. I've definitely experienced that. It ends up becoming more like we're allowing people to remain in victimhood, and we're calling it grace, and we're calling it understanding, and we are very very like slightly, and sometimes even deeper, like we start slipping into therapy territory, and we start slipping into spaces where our work, the real work that we want to do, is now being overshadowed by all of this other stuff that is not in it's not in our wheelhouse. And I'll share an example with y'all. I wasn't going to share I was going to keep this like not about me, but I do want to share a quick story about this because this is one of the main driving factors and why conversations like this are so important to me, and why I love being able to have them and show people that the problem that they have is not really the problem they think they have. It's really something else. So I told you I've had experiences with the codependent client, right? And I had a client in particular who was There were signs. I'm gonna start there. There were signs. So she was someone who had multiple businesses that she started. That she was getting them up. And in some cases, she was doing them consistently, and then things fell off. Hey, Gil, and then things fell off. And her biggest challenge was consistency when it came to actually following through on marketing these businesses. And so when I saw on the surface, right on the surface, she seemed like the right client. So I'm not going to say that this is something that's always so cut and dry and easy, because on the surface they can look like who you're targeting. And at this point I knew I'm not working with new entrepreneurs. I know that's not my space, that's not my lane. I don't want to. You need somebody else to help you to really like start something and get it going. My sweet spot is with people who are established entrepreneurs, who are pivoting, who are rebranding, and they already got something to work with. And they need my help to bring it together and make it make sense, or make this new direction make sense. Right. And so I'm saying this to show you that on the surface, she was the right client. Now, when we pop open the hood, though, there were a lot of signs that she was showing me that she was not prepared to do this work. And I ignored all of them. Okay. She was at a point in her life where there were so many things that were happening personally that her priority really needed to be herself. And when it came mentally, when it came to physical health, there were a lot of things going on, and they were all reasons why she couldn't do what she needed to do for her business. Okay. And another thing that I started to notice as well, which is something that I definitely pay attention to now, is that there was this pressure that she was putting on herself, which then also I took on as my own issue, where she felt like she needed to set some very ambitious sales goals for herself without having the evidence that she already can do the things that she needs to do to show up for her business. And so because those things, those habits weren't already in practice, they were already in play, the likelihood of reaching any sales goal was unlikely for that reason. And one thing that I know now for myself is that if you are someone who is like pressed for cash, and it is really important for you to drive revenue and in a short period of time, I'm not the person to come to for that. Okay. I told y'all in the beginning, this is not sales training. I am not a sales coach. I can show you how you can show up so that your content resonates with people in a way where it converts them. But the actual sales strategies, that's a whole different beast, right? And the sales strategies are only useful for the people who are already showing up consistently anyway, right? So there were some steps that she was missing, but she kept talking about what she wanted, but the work wasn't there. Okay. And so long story short, she actually ended up ghosting me. So she just like drops out. She unfollows me from everything. She drops out of the program. Like she just goes, she just leaves. And when that happened, I was so frustrated by it because of all the work that I felt like I had put in. I wasn't even I wasn't even mad about the ghosting. I was like, I'm so upset that I put in so much work into helping, and it's like almost like she gave up on herself in that. Like, and it really bothered me that it happened that way. And I think the biggest thing was the ghosting part was like, what? Like, you have looked me in my face. You can't just ghost people like that. But I don't know what she was going through to this day. Still don't know what she was going through. But what I do know is that it was not a good fit. right? And I learned that the hard way. You know those clients all too well, Gil? Yeah. It's like it was y'all. It was bad. And so because of that, I ended up taking a really big step back from marketing that program. That's actually the program that I have been talking about for the past few weeks, the Getting Unshy Collective. And I stopped talking about it like almost all of last year. Like all of last year, I would talk about it here and there, but as far as a launch, I was like, no, mm-mm, nope, I'm good. I'm gonna push this off to the side because I felt so like thrown off by all of that. That what I wanted to figure out now is how do I not attract that kind of client again? What do I need to do differently so that that doesn't happen again? Right. And so all of that, understanding that, going through that experience, learning how the language that I was using was attracting people who were not prepared to do the work. It wasn't a good fit. And that's okay. Like, that's fine. That's more than okay. That's great. That if it doesn't attract those people anymore, or if it attracts less people, but it's more of the right people, I was fine with all of that. And so I had to really learn what those things look like so that now when I speak about what I do, I'm speaking with more clarity. And the people who are right for me, the right fit, the right clients are now attracted to me, right? That's where the magnetism comes back into play. I'm attracting those people and converting. I'm not just making content that people like, but it's also converting. And so I know what what that disconnect is and how the problem isn't the invitation, but it really truly is the language that you're using. And that's why I go so hard on my people that are like that, my deep thinkers, my healers, my the practitioners who do that deep work with people, that deep transformative work. That's why I go so hard on let's be specific. Who is this person? What is it that they're looking for? Do you enjoy doing this work? Is this the right program, the right offer for this person? And being as clear and as direct as possible so that you can still be that magnet that attracts people, and then you can make the invitation for them to work with you, because as many times as you may have encountered the wrong clients, there are so many more people who are the right fit that are waiting for you to say the word. Literally, they're waiting for you to be like, this is where you go. This is what I got for you. I heard you. I see you. This is what you need to do. Okay. So my theory in all of this is that what she needs is to be more specific. She needs a like a and I don't think it's a big tweak, but I think it's just like some subtle shifts in her messaging paired with a content rhythm that she can maintain, and then practicing giving the invitation, extending the invitation, and then seeing what kinds of people come from that. And so there are actually a few different things that comes to my mind as ways to kind of like baby step your way into it. And I'm going to share those at the end. Before I get into that though, I want to give you an opportunity to see, like, self-diagnose ourselves. So we're going to use this as a little audit for ourselves to see if this is what we are experiencing with our content. So the first sign that you are in the same boat as homegirl, people tell you that your content resonates and then don't book with you. That's one of the signs. Another sign is you attract people who drain more than they energize. The third way that you can know is you've pulled back from selling because last time it cost you something real. That was where I was at for sure. I was like, woo, Let's bring that back. I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that no more. The next sign that you can use to tell is that you get I love your work more than I'm ready. What's next? That is woo, that is one of the best signs. And that's one where you'll know that you are already magnetic. However, you're not converting people, and this might be the reason why. I'm almost 100% certain it is, y'all. I ain't even gonna hold you. I ain't even gonna hold you. I don't like speaking in absolutes, so I'm gonna leave a small margin of error, but I'm almost certain that this is a problem. This is it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, call something, y'all. Another sign, no, that's not all. That's all the signs. So I'm gonna go through them one more time. People tell you your content resonates and they don't book. You attract people who drain more than they energize. You've pulled back from selling because last time it cost you something real, and you get more I love your work than you do I'm ready. What's next? Okay, so those are your signs. One or more of those, this is for you. Congratulations. The solution is honestly very simple, but it also requires practice. Okay. It requires practice, it requires experimenting, and it definitely requires you creating so that you can see what works and test things out. Okay. Adrian said, I've definitely had misaligned clients, but had to work through that, not give so much energy to repelling them, but to restore myself and connect with those that are a right fit for me. Yeah. And I think that that's the place that she's at right now, is getting back aligned within herself, and then allowing that to guide how she shows up. And I believe that the work that I can do to help support that is to help her to see how to put together a strategy that makes sense for her. Because once you have the strategy, you're not having like the fears of, oh, I'm not consistent enough, I'm not doing this enough. Like those are not, that's not specific enough for your issues. And the thing that I really appreciated about how the whole conversation flowed is that at the end, she thanked me for reflecting back to her. And that's something that I know I have the capability of doing because I've been called a mirror in so many different ways. always, I'm always reflecting people back to themselves because I know that you're really the one that has the answers. I just have a piece of the puzzle that was missing. I don't ever think that I'm the person that's going to save you. I don't want to be your savior. I do not want to be your hero. But I do want to show you that something that you might have believed up until this point, when you shift it, it can be the very thing that unlocks so much more for you. And so that's what I want to be able to support her with now that she has taken the time to recover after burnout. She is learning more about herself and understanding herself. That makes her a very strong candidate because if you have to do a lot of self discovery, we just gotta have something to work with. I'm not gonna say self discovery is gonna always be a part of the process. I can't help that, y'all. Like it's gonna always be a part of it. But knowing that I'm already connecting with somebody who is doing that work, and I don't have to convince you that that's necessary. That's already a value that you have. That's another plus. And so I know now that she's showing up, she's posting content. I know that she is creating to some degree. So now, how can we make it so that you can have a rhythm that makes sense for you, that works and is effective? Yeah, that right. Yeah, I do not want to be nobody's hero. Neural. Neural. Okay, so here's what I was thinking about. Let me give y'all this homework that you can use, and then I'm gonna tell y'all what I want. I'm gonna see how many things I can come up with that I feel help with the whole invitation challenge. That's the best way I can put it right now. So I want you to go. I want you to look at your last 5 pieces of content. Okay. And I want you to ask yourself, did I give people somewhere to go within any of those 5? It doesn't have to be every 5, but I'm going to tell y'all some different ways that I've been seeing people do that I feel it can help with the whole invitation issue. So Somewhere in that 5, did you give somebody somewhere to go? Did you tell them what to do and where to go? Was there a door? Or did you create this moment where people were activated and then you let the moment pass? If you did, please do not beat yourself up about it, but just take note of that and really think about, where is this coming from? Where is the hesitation coming from? Because your hesitation is probably, I mean, it might not be the same as hers. You may not have the same challenge of being worried about attracting the right clients, but maybe you don't feel confident in your offer. And this is something that we talked about earlier, Adrian, is that being confident in your offer and the work that you do. And this reminds me, I'm actually going to give y'all like a little bonus, especially because I didn't go live last week. And I do want to share something with y'all that I think will be really helpful when it comes to selling. And it is the Selling Without Selling Out workshop that I did a few months ago. Not this one I did this year. I did another one last year. It has totally different content. And so I want to share that so that y'all can see where some of this might be coming from. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but that's the homework. So ask yourself, look over your last piece of the content. Ask yourself, did I give people somewhere to go? Was there a door? Or did I create activation and then let the moment pass? And so that's where the gap usually is when it comes to your content. That's where the bridge is missing in what it is that you're saying. And if this is something that you want to go deeper in, you have me to help you with this. This is something that I do with people one-on-one when I help them to create their brand profile. I not only tell you about your brand and what you're doing and who you're talking to, but I also give you ways to invite people that feel natural, that feel second nature, and that are catered to how you communicate. We can talk about the different areas, the content genres that you have. All of that is broken down inside of the brand profile. So if you're somebody who is in a similar place where things are shifting, you are feeling that you're entering a new phase, things are shifting for you, your brand is growing, and you're now seeing that, oh, this is becoming something new now, this is becoming something fresh. How do I present this to people? Or how do I come back after such a long break? A brand profile can be a really strong way for you to get back in the game. So if you're interested in that, that's something that you can contact me directly for. So I'll put a link somewhere down there that'll tell you where to go. I don't have that right now, but I'll put a link so we can have a quick consultation and we can talk more about it and see if we're a good fit for each other. But all of this is stuff that I will help you and work with you to figure that out as well. But yeah, y'all. So let's talk about some of the things that I see people doing that are really cool ways that they're extending the invitation, and some are direct and some are not. So I want to get into those. Adrian said, "Trust me, the brand profile is a game changer for your business." Yes. Adrian is one of my clients, y'all, and she had a little something in the mail today that I definitely can't wait to see more of. That workbook is looking elite. It's so funny though, because I was actually, there's somebody I've been following. Well, I've been seeing her content, and she's been talking about like the future of journals and workbooks, and how she believes, her theory is that having entire like frameworks and certifications within a book or a journal is like the next wave, which I find very interesting because wasn't we always doing that? I don't know. I was like, like okay, like I got one of those. I ain't know, but I think that it's cool for the people who maybe are we're considering that route and now see that there's some different avenues for them. But yeah, I thought about you. I think about you when I see her content, Adrian. I want you to know that. So, okay, so let me get into some of these ways. So, the first way, I wish that I had these up. I can show y'all on the phone. The first way that I've seen people give the invitation in a really like laid back relaxed way, but is actually very effective, is when people have those almost like sometimes they record like a separate video, like a little cutaway, and they talk about what it is that their offer is, or they mention it casually very early on in the video. So there's this woman who is she I think her title is like a TikTok coach, and she has a community that she works with when it comes to TikTok and marketing on TikTok. And I only know that she has this because she talks about it in so many of her videos. And she doesn't spend more than maybe 15 seconds, maybe even 10 seconds mentioning her offer, but she inserts it into the conversation. So let's say she was talking about hooks, hooks on your video. And so she'll say like, people think that doing this is the best hook, but really you should be doing this instead, because this is what's going to get your people to really stop and to stay longer past that 3-second drop off that a lot of people experience in their videos. And this technique has been working for so many other people that are inside of my TikTok marketing community, and we've seen so many good results that I definitely wanted to share this with you too. Here is how you do it. In that part right there, boom, that's the invitation. That easy. And she didn't even have to like stop and say, go to the link in my bio and it's here. She didn't have to give all the specs and the details of it. She didn't have to go into the features of it. She literally just gave you a taste of what is already inside of the community. Boom, right there. Another thing that works that I've seen work really well is having like, what are they called? The groups that people have to like test out to market, like to test different products and stuff on people, like a test group. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, having some sort of test group for an offer that you are either completed with, maybe it's about 85% of the way there, okay? 85%, or it's something that you are still formulating, but you want to get people's feedback on it so that you can get a good gauge on what it is that they have. And so having these different test groups, so to speak, and bringing people in, having conversations with them about the product itself or about the offer and the challenges that they have related to it is actually a really effective way to talk about it without talking about it. And you don't even have to pitch it at the end of the conversation. You just get to talk to people. And what I've found works well is that in natural conversation and being able to say, this is what I've built, this is what I'm building, this is what it does, this is how it can help you. People naturally are interested in it anyway. And you're already bringing in people who have the problem that you want to solve. So even if one person from that group decides to take you up on that offer, you created an environment where you can invite people to it without literally inviting them to it. Now, another thing that I think more people should practice, because those are good and those are effective, but I also like to challenge people to just talk about the offer, but say it super directly. It doesn't take as much time as we think that it does to give an ad to talk about our product and then to keep it pushing. And when you start to remove the discomfort that you might have, or acknowledge the discomfort and say it anyway, you'll find that like all you need to do is say, this is where you can go to get it, and then continue the conversation. You can literally take breaks in between your live streams. If you're like me and live stream is helpful for you, it's a good format for you. Put those ads in your live stream. Just mention it in your live stream. Take little breaks in between and mention it. I didn't do the best job, but that's because this one's going to be shorter. I'm gonna take the clip from this. I don't even know if all of this extra stuff I'm saying right now is gonna be involved in that video. I might just take that short piece right there at the in the middle where I really like talked about the case study. But if I'm on live stream for over an hour and I've only talked about my offer once, I have a lot of opportunity. I can be mentioning it once, twice, maybe even 3 times, sometimes even 4 times, because an hour long live stream, you have people coming in at different points of the live, so they may have missed it from the beginning, and it's not always a guarantee they're gonna go and watch it from the beginning. Or it's helpful to have those little breaks in between, like how they do with podcast and with radio, and this is something that you would know very well, Gil, but having those breaks in between to just kinda give people a chance to like, "Whew, okay," get oriented to it. So having those natural breaks anyway, talk about your stuff. There's no reason why I should be listening to you. You're over here changing my life for an hour. You don't sell me nothing. You better sell me something. Like if I take it, I take it. But at least you put it out there. You know, you said it. So those are some of the ways that come to my mind, just off the top of my mind. There are definitely way more ways that you can make that invitation and get it so that people know what you got, so that they can actually work with you. And what you'll find is that there are so many people that were just waiting for the invitation. And it's not because they're not proactive people, it's not because they don't want the help, but it's because you as somebody who's presenting it to you, it is your obligation to make it clear, like clearly communicate it. Once you put it out there, you have done your job. Now you let that person make the decision. And so outside of that in making the invitation, there are some other things that you can have in place in your business so that you are really vetting people, especially if it's deeper work that you're doing, and you can have your different processes and things in place that can also support you in that. Because I know that some people's challenges just come at different points in the process. But I'm not going to get into all of those today. But I do want you to know that when it comes to the content level, when it comes to like that initial visibility, introduction to you, or what people are consistently engaging with on a week to week basis when it comes to your content, those are the things that you can do. One thing that I found very shocking, and I still don't know how I feel about it all the way, but selling in my stories on Instagram has actually been quite effective. And I am so distraught by that reality because Instagram is just really not my favorite platform, y'all. Like, I mean, by no stretch of the imagination. And I tried it out just to see. I was just a little curious. I was like, you know what? I wonder how it would do if I start talking about my products in my stories, because my stories up until a few weeks ago, I really only used it to just talk about stuff that I wanted to talk about. Like, I was just sharing like my life and my outfits, my makeup. I was on there playing. I wasn't taking it seriously because I had been over that platform for so long. And so, but I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. And so I ended up seeing how, dang it, it's actually effective. God dog. Yours is for play too. Yeah, it might be a good place for you to get leads though. I know y'all, I know it's like that's the last thing I wanted to hear. It's the last thing I wanted to acknowledge. But I fear that it is the truth. Adrian said, "Yep, that's next for me. Beta groups, yeah, yeah, yeah. Beta, yeah. Okay, so not beta clients because this would be before you actually took them through any program. Like, so it's almost like testing the concept. Also, like, what am I trying to say? It's like gathering feedback. So the conversation I had with the woman in the DMs, that it would be similar to that, but in a group setting where you could just have a little bit more people talking about it. There's somebody I saw who she is launching a sales membership, and before she launched the membership, before she put out the wait list for the membership, because it hasn't officially launched, she's currently in launch mode for it. Before that, though, she invited a group of people to talk to her about all the challenges that they had with sales. So it's it's like that. So she wasn't um taking them through any process or any program. It was more for information. So I don't know if within it she shared what she was working on or what she was asking the questions for with the people who opted to join her on the call, but that was basically what it was. So it was like a little different than beta groups. Yeah. You get them so randomly. Yeah. It's not always like a it's not always like a, home run when it comes to the leads from Instagram, but what it did show me is that more people are paying attention and will take action when I'm in there and I just tell them what I got going on. So, yeah. Yeah. I was I was like, "Oh, okay. All right. I guess we'll have to figure this out." But yeah, I don't know what my I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's a hesitation. I guess it is. I just it just upsets me. It just upsets me because it was a place where I was playing, and now I feel like I got to be serious over there, and I don't like that. I still play a little bit, but I'm being a little bit more serious from time to time. So it can't be 100% business. Not yet. Maybe never, but definitely not right now. Um, yeah, yeah, but yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about, like a focus group. Is that what it's called? A focus group. I think that's what I was trying to say. Or they got the people in the room, and they're asking them questions about like the product, and then they got the people on the other side of the glass that's watching them, and they're like getting the feedback. That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes I use live stream as my focus group. So I don't do it as much on YouTube because I can actually use my replays from YouTube for the most part. Not for the most part. I can use them. I'm not sure why I made that disclaimer, but anyway, I sometimes do the focus group thing on live stream. So I'll share a thought or something that I'm working on, and I'll get people's ideas on it and their feedback on it. And that's been cool too. I've been able to build some pretty dope stuff by doing like the focus group kind of thing that way. But I really like the idea of it being a little bit more intimate and like playing around with that idea and that concept. Oh, y'all, last thing. I almost forgot about this. I'm gonna do a whole separate video on this. But case studies. Y'all, do y'all realize how effective a case study can be? And apparently the only people that's doing it are business coaches. And actually, I don't feel like I see a lot of I mean, I guess they are, but the people I saw doing case studies were designers. And maybe they called it something else, but I attributed all of it to a case study or like a mock-up, um, fake clients, and showing your process and what you would do with them. Y'all, that is so freaking effective. It is the equivalent of people watching you behind the scenes and just watching the process. It's if show don't tell was turned into content, a case study, a good case study, y'all. that is probably one of my new favorite ways of making content in general. That's why I opted to do this one as a case study, because I was trying to think about, okay, do I start with the short form video? Should I bring it up this way? I want to talk about it. I want to recap this on threads. What do I do with this? Like, how do I turn this into content? And I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, make it a case study and talk about what I perceive her problem to be. Because again, she's not my client yet. I really think she's going to become mine though. But anyway, she's not my client, but I can see what her challenges are. I can recognize what could help her, what most likely will help her, and what she might also need as additional support. Mostly because I asked. I asked her, I was like, what would you need? Like what kind of support would you need? And so she was very candid with me and told me. So being able to have the problem and the solution and then map out what that process looks like, or when I've done a few creative thinking style profiles with people on live stream. I've done one with Kayla. I did another one with my mentor and my big sis Latara Venice, and we did it on live on TikTok. And so it was people literally watching the process of learning her creative thinking style and then helping her to create different business ideas from it. And she's seeing how her thinking style, her past experience, where she wants to go now, how all of that can come together into something that is actually cohesive and that is still very clear. And it also is expansive because it leaves space for her to be flexible and creative in how she markets this and what direction she takes it in. So yeah, like things like that, it's like it's selling itself because people just get to see the process and then they're like, oh, I want that. And you don't have to do anything. That's not convincing nobody. That's not chasing nobody. It's literally just putting it on display and allowing it to attract the people that it's meant for. So yeah, you're doing that too? Okay, focus group. All right, bet. Okay. Ugh, I'm glad we figured that out because I was like, no, I know beta. This is like before beta. So yeah, yeah, those are effective. Those are effective. The the biggest area of opportunity that I can say that I have with the case studies is just promoting them more and marketing them more. So that'll be I can't say that's going to be a focus in the next week, but I will be going back to them and repurposing them and redirecting people, new people to them, and letting that content also do what it needs to do cuz I know that it's good content. But yeah, though them case studies, those like those fake clients. I'm gonna call them fake clients for now. I feel like that sounds a little negative, but y'all get what I'm saying. Fake clients, okay? Like, I don't mean it offensively in any way, but I feel like just like doing more stuff like that and showing people what you can do. Yeah, and I feel like that's still technically, beta testing, but it's just beta testing in public, using it as marketing. So I love it because it's like I'm doing multiple things at once. And still to this day, it's probably like the best content that I can make because it displays what I don't always get to articulate. And it also is helpful because it's not short form content. So yeah, all of that stuff, those are all different ways that I've seen it. Take whatever you would like from those examples. If you come up with something even more creative from that, let me know. I'm always interested in where your mind goes after we have our live streams together, and I get excited when we get to feed off of each other's creativity. So please share those with me. Let me know. Um, and then when I go live again, it should be on Thursday. I feel like this week is gonna be fine, but I'm learning about myself is that some weeks I can do twice a week, and then some weeks I'd be like real deep in the trenches. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see where I land with that. But the next video, we're going to start getting back into the creative thinking styles, and we're gonna be focusing on how procrastination shows up in each of them. So I really wanna get into those. I also kinda wanna, like, knock them out because I don't know how much I got to talk about with those, but yeah, I definitely wanted to talk about it because when I did it, I, like, soft launched it live on TikTok, and the people were really feeling it, and so I don't wanna sleep on that topic because I can see that being something that is still very important for people. But I wanted to take a little break from that this time and do this case study because it was just the coolest thing to be able to like just like run across the people who need what I'm doing naturally. Like again, I'm not looking for these people. I'm not searching any particular hashtags or I'm not doing anything really except it just feels like it's just I'm just attracting these people. I'm just attracting the right people, the right opportunities. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, but what I will say again and reiterate that the invitation is still important. Like I want to say that like, the invitation should not be optional because you don't want to make it more challenging for people to say yes. Like and you're not doing it to be convincing or overbearing. You're not being annoying by doing it. And if it is annoying to people, then they're probably just not your people. Like that's always the best rule of thumb. But I don't feel like that's really our problem that y'all have. I guess I want to add that in just to add it in. What I really want to say with that is don't forget the invitation. And if you are finding yourself hesitating when it comes to inviting people to work with you, I want you to investigate that. Okay. I want you to investigate it. I want you to be so intentional about understanding where that's coming from so that you can solve that problem. Because if you skip the invitation, it's going to always feel like you're attracting people that are not buying from you. You're attracting people that aren't converting because you're not extending the invitation to work with you. Okay? So don't be rude. Don't be rude. Don't lead us on. Don't rock our world and then tell us you don't want us no more. Don't disrupt my life and then just leave me there to figure it out and pick up the pieces. If you got a piece, share it with me. Hey, let me know that you got it so that I can get a piece of it too. Okay. Yeah. Same. We got dope vibes and some clients want to drain it. Listen, I am on it. Okay. I am on it. I am not ignoring. When I see it, I see the signs. Mm-mm. I'm getting real, real good at referring people, sending people to where they need to go and being clear about I can't help you with that. And I might be able to help you with it, but I don't want to. I don't want to do that for you. Okay. Oh, question. Do you have friends in the creative space? How do you collab or work with them? Yeah, I would say the majority of my friends are creative in some sense. For the most part, we've collaborated on different projects, like one-off projects or maybe like short-term projects. So I've been I've done podcasts with friends. I think I might have connected you to him before. Lloyd George. He and I and a guy named Walt, we did a few podcast episodes together, and we just talked about like popular topics like pop culture, and that was fun because it was a little outside of what I usually talk about. I'll do a little pop culture here and there, but I don't go too far into it. I'm always collaborating with my clients. My mentee, Kayla, we did a couple of events together, and she's about to do her own event at the end of this month. I'm so excited for her. But we've collaborated on projects before. I collaborated with my last client I think that was February that she had her event, and it was a custom foundation class. So we got to make our own foundation. So I partnered with her on that. Um, I have another friend who we're in talks of a podcast as well. That's it's a lot on my plate. I have another friend. We're collaborating. It's a lot of collaborations. A lot of collaborations. But what I have found works well for me is I do really good project base. Like anything that will require me to partner with somebody for a really long period of time, I don't opt into those as much. Um, and they haven't always done the best in the past. Another collaboration that I did really, really early on that was probably one of my favorite ones, but it also taught me a lot about like coming together to put something, to work with each other. I had two friends. One is the owner of a brand called Sister Teas. They're actually doing phenomenal right now. It's crazy. I remember when she started that company, and it has, I mean, it has really taken off. So she had her teas, and I had a journal called the Soul Care Journal that I had created. And then another friend of mine, she did candles. And so we came together. It was my idea because I was like, oh, you do this and then you do this. Why don't we bring our things together and do this? And so we came together and created a soul care box. And it had the soul care journal, the candle, the teas, a mug that I created. Like I did the design for the mugs. It was my first time like putting anything on a mug before, which was very interesting, but I had fun doing it. And then it also had a handwritten note for me, and I personalized each one. Like it was intense. Like I prayed over it, and I wanted to make sure that the box that people got was something that really spoke to what they wanted. And even at that point, I knew I wanted it to be something related to creatives. I've always just known creatives are my people. And so, anyway, we put all those things together and we launched that for Black Friday. So we all came together on the marketing. Each one of us, did our own part on our pages and talking about it, marketing it. And by the end of it, it ended up being, I feel like it was a success. I also feel like it showed me that it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to keep doing, but I was glad that we came up with the idea and we executed it because I had the idea in like September. I don't know how we managed to put it together. They had to send me their stuff. Like they lived in like New York and Connecticut, so they had to send their stuff down to me in Virginia. So it was a lot of coordination that we had going on. But that was another one. That was probably one of my favorite ones that I think about fondly. Yeah, so that's some of the ways. Everything else is pretty much variations of that. I've been a speaker for a friend of mine's summit, and I was the first guest that she ever had at her summits. She had been doing them for what, 4 or 5 years, and she always was the only speaker at it. And so she trusted me enough to fly me in to Wisconsin and be the guest speaker for her summit. So that was fun. Yeah, it's a lot of ways. It's a lot of ways. I'm curious to know what made you ask that question. I know that you collaborate. I saw your photo walk. I don't know what else that you do though. I don't know how else you collaborated. Oh, you collaborated with that co-working space, even though I know that's like a business partnership to some degree. I don't know all the details of it, but yeah, lots of collaboration. I love collaborating. I love connecting with people. I feel like that's how we're supposed to be in general, but as creatives, I definitely feel like that's how we should be. And when you know what you can bring to the collaboration and understanding what the other person may be giving that is not necessarily your strong suit, it makes for the dopest collaborations. Who gave her that? Chanel has a can now, just in case you're wondering. She's upgraded from a bottle to a can. Okay, what did you say? This video is so important. Not inviting in our content because of misaligned clients can keep us in cycles we don't want to be in. Don't let it cost your business or belief in it. I've been there. Yes. Yes. And it can be frustrating because you're doing the work and you're showing up and it doesn't feel like it's leading to anything. And that can be incredibly discouraging. So, yeah. Yeah. I love, if anything else, I don't do it because I feel like I need to be right. I need to prove something. I really do it because I want people to see that your problems have solutions. And when you realize that it might be something as simple as you're not inviting people into your content, and that can be the one thing that shifts everything for you, that's what's important to me, because you can be stuck in cycles for so long based off of one small tweak, one simple thing. So, yeah, absolutely. Work nonprofits, friends, and so much more. Oh, yes, I would love to hear about what you do. I want to see, actually, I want to see you live, Gil. I don't know if you go live on this platform or not. Y'all, if y'all don't know, you probably don't. Gil is a podcast producer. Let me know if I'm saying that right. And he's so cool. I found out about him because he was doing these 5-minute podcasts, and he had it set up as a service at I think it was like a some kind of event. I don't remember what kind of event it was, but let's say it was a networking event for now. You can correct me later. But it's like a networking event. And he had a like a table set up where people could do a 5-minute podcast. And I was like, when I saw it, I was like, what? This is the coolest thing ever. Like, who was responsible for this? And so I was talking about him on Threads. I was talking about his work on Threads, not knowing who he was. And the space that he collaborates with actually said, "Yeah, that's our guy Gil." And I was like, "Oh." And so then we got connected that way. I had a consultation with him where he was helping me to know like what equipment I could use to set up my own. I haven't given up on that idea, Gil. I haven't given up on it. I'll just say that. And so but he was so helpful, and it was so cool to see the options that I had at different price points, and seeing how simple like the process could be and how lean my setup could be. I didn't need a whole bunch of things to get started. And so that's how we got our start and got connected. But he's always talking about different equipment, cameras, microphone, most things tech. You can go to him and learn about it. He talks about like what it looks like to produce a podcast, how to set it up, how to make it profitable. And now that I say that, I think that you and my friend Walt would actually really get along together. So I might try to make that connection for y'all. But yeah, doing live podcasts for CoSpace. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I still got to get down to Miami and meet you, and go to that space. I really want to see it. It looks so cool. So yeah, if you are interested in those kind of things, or even if you see yourself needing a podcast producer, somebody that can help you get it up and going, he is a great resource for that. So make sure y'all go and check him out because he is dope. Yeah. Yeah, and that stuff like we have to maybe we got to collaborate on something, Gil, because I feel like people people actually ask me about like podcast stuff all the time, and you know, I would rather send them to you. I would rather send them to you. I'm not a I don't I mean I can talk a little bit about it, very generally, but I love how it really is like a business for you and you specialize in it. And so I love talking to the specialists because they can add a lot more context and details to the conversation. So, yeah, yeah, that just gave me an idea. Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to be reaching out to you. I'm going to be reaching out to you. Yep. See, Adrian said, I definitely have questions about podcasting. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, I think we gotta. Yeah, I think we gotta make that happen. Okay. All right. I'll keep that in mind. Um. Yeah. Okay. That's it, y'all. That's it for real. It is 8:30, so I'm gonna get down and give y'all the rest of your evening. If you do want to keep the party going, Kayla is gonna be going live on YouTube soon. I don't know what time she landed on, but some within the next hour she'll be live. Yeah, I wish I knew exactly what time because I don't like that gap in between it. But she'll be live and she'll be doing junk journaling. So if you have a project that you want to work on, if you want to get into junk journaling, she'll be doing it on live on her page at Kayla the Angel. So it's Kaila the Angel. So that's where I'm gonna be once I get off of here. And I'm gonna do a little page on my junk journal because I haven't cracked it open in a while. But yeah, it'll be a fun space to just like relax, hang out, work on some creative project, something that you got going on that you want to continue working on. Kayla's going to be the next spot to go to. So if y'all decide to come over there, I'll say hi to y'all in the chat. But until then, y'all have a good night and I will talk to y'all in the next video.